folks. This is your Peach update for the 28th. Well, you knew I was going to do one, right? Yeah, you knew I was going to do one. You don't get one every day, but you get one most days. So you're going to get one today. So Joe Biden says that he will not comply with a Senate subpoena because, well, you know, the impeachment is about Donald Trump and Donald Trump and Donald Trump and Donald Trump. And, excuse me. Congressional subpoena is a congressional subpoena. He can, of course, go to court to try to get it quashed, but he's probably going to fail in that because if there is somebody who's at the center of what's going on, from his own words in public, it is Joe Biden. And to ask, well, you know, exactly what is it that you were doing with your son on a plane going over to China? Because, you know, Congress brought up that arm twisting, too. Yeah. I think he loses if he tries to fight the subpoena. If he just doesn't show up, then he's in contempt, and they could have him thrown in jail, at least until the Senate's term ends. That's, you know, direct contempt to Congress. You can have that happen. The funny thing is that when the Senate session ends, which would come right after the election, then they'd have to release him. But he could theoretically sit in prison. I don't know exactly where they lock him up, but they could lock him up. That'd make it kind of hard for him to run for president, wouldn't it? I wonder how smart that would be, Joe. You go ahead and you try that. I think it'd be funnier in hell. Okay. Next thing is this whole Democrat health care mistakes thing that is up on Faux News. Sally Pipes has gee, what a name, huh? Has again another scold piece out. Medicare for all is a scam, and you know, of course she's screaming about this. The economists on the left and right, even Bernie Sanders, say that Medicare for all will cost more than $30 trillion over a decade. According to Emory University economists, 70% of working privately insured Americans would pay more for health insurance on a single payer system than they do today. Really, they would? Well, yeah, they would, because you're, of course, only counting direct expenses, right? Yeah, isn't it funny how that works? So, you know, $30 trillion sounds like an absolutely terrible number, right? I mean, that really is. But what is it really? Okay, because think about this. We spend about $4 trillion right now, all in, private and public. $1.576 trillion of that last year was Medicare and Medicaid. That means the rest of it, or about $2.5 trillion, was spent privately, mostly by employers. So that would go away. The government spend would, of course, go up. Over 10 years, on an average of $3 trillion, that's actually a decrease. Now, there are problems with this. I don't think I'm telling you that this is an endorsement, because it most certainly is not an endorsement. I want to make that very clear. Not by any stretch of the imagination. But please do be aware that all of these people on both the left and right side of the aisle are not counting the fact that the $2.5 trillion will be freed up, and it's going to go to somebody. Now, the logical thing for the government to do would be to tax it. People talk about a 21% tax rate that would have to be paid. Well, guess what? It's being paid now. It's just being paid to Prudential Insurance or Blue Cross or some health insurance, Kaiser, some health insurance company. Instead, it will go into the government's hands. Now, that's bad in that the government is always less efficient than private industry, except when you enable monopolies. And think about this. The Canadian system. The average Canadian family of four pays $13,000 for its medical coverage. That's actually less than the average family of four pays in the United States. The average single person in this country pays close to 10 through their subsidized insurance from their company. Family coverage typically runs more than 20. So 13, last time I looked, is smaller than 20. But if you go that way, what do you get? Because then the government starts rationing. Why do they ration? Because otherwise the bill is 20, right? It's not 13. And in fact, Canadians typically waited about 20 weeks for a specialist. That's getting close to half a year, folks. Is that good? Well, that all depends on how badly you need the specialist. If you're going to die without it, it's pretty bad. So, yeah, there's a problem there. And why is the Canadian system so damned expensive? Because there's no competition. I have an article coming out sometime in the next day or two that's going to talk about this whole scream fest that Donald Trump has gotten into with regards to just the last day or so. Just saw the tweets this morning, in fact, about the homeless situation in New York and California and other places. And when you get down to it, folks, what's driven that homeless situation? What's driven the entire problem? You want to know where it is? It's all government fiscal deficits, every last bit of it, and the medical scam. And why? Because without the medical scam, we'd actually have run a surplus last year. I don't think that people understand the depths of how bad this really is. Let me just give you a couple of numbers from this ticker. So let's take a look at, for example, the move from 1998 to 2008. In 1998, the Healthcare Financing Administration, which is what they used to call Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services, spent approximately $379 billion. In 2008, it spent $863 billion. That is more than a double. The number of older Americans, that is people over 65, went up 13% compared to 12.4% for the under 65 population. Now think about this. We keep being told that Americans are getting older. Oh my God, everything's getting more terrible. It's more terrible. It's more terrible. There's fewer people working and able to pay. Yes, it's true. There are. But 12.4% of the population was not over 65, the addition. Okay? And the majority of those people, not everybody was over the age of 18. All right? There's that gap. So we probably, if you want to back into this, it gets a little complicated to get the numbers straight. But you probably added, I'd have to go back through my data tables because I don't have stuff that's older than the early 2000 timeframes on those tables. So it'd be difficult for me to dig those up. But best estimate is that we saw about a 9 to 10% increase during that 10-year period in the working age population. And we saw a 13% increase in those people who were retired drawing Medicare. All right. Now, granted, 13 is larger than 10, but the spend doubled. It went up by 13%, folks. The age population, the number of people that went for there, did not go up by 100%. Here, let me put some other numbers on this because we've got the census data from 1990 and 2000, all right, which are roughly in coherence with this. In 1990, there were 31.2 million people older than 65. In 2000, there were 35 million. That's a 12% increase. That is an increase that is in line with the trends that we've been seeing. Okay, this is not a surprise. And yet, we've had the population go up by 12%, but the spend has doubled, and it's doubled twice from 1998 into 2008, and then again, essentially, from then until now. So if you think that this is simply about population growth and people getting older, you're wrong. That's not even a material part of it. And yet, this is how everybody tries to lay this out. Oh, well, these entitlements are bankrupting us because there's so many more older people. Well, there aren't so many more older people. Yes, there are more older people, but not so many more. Costs have doubled. Why have costs doubled? Because of the medical monopolists, because there's no competition, because everybody thinks that they can weigh 700 pounds and get somebody else to pay for it. I bought a trailer very recently because I'm in the process of getting ready to move, and I'm going to move myself because I'm able-bodied and I'm not going to pay a bunch of clowns to go do it and end up with nothing at the end. This way, I have a trailer I can turn it into an RV. About the same amount of money, by the way. Well, that meant I had to go to the DMV office. And at the end of the year is a really bad time to go to the DMV office because in Florida right now, all of the heavy trucks have to be gone through their registration right at the end of the year. Their tags all expire on December 31st. So the place is jammed. I'm sitting there waiting. And of course, to do a title transaction, you have to go there. You can't do that one through email and the internet. Every single one of the employees that I saw behind the desk was not just obese, not just morbidly obese, but probably had special seats so they didn't break them. I don't think there was anybody back there that was under 300 pounds. And you know, just a couple of years ago, I had our county commissioners telling me, boy, I'll tell you, our healthcare costs, they're just exploding. They're going up. We got to raise the property taxes. Blah, blah, blah. Really? Is that a big shock? Gee, walk into the DMV and tell me who's working in there. And why is it that this is not representative of the population around here? Don't get me wrong. People are fat everywhere. But I guarantee you that if you walk into Walmart, the people there have a BMI that is way lower. And they're overweight. But the people in that Walmart are way lower than the collective average BMI in that DMV office. How in the hell does that happen? Well, we can't discriminate against anybody. We have to have... And then you have to give them a Cadillac healthcare plan. They don't have to pay for it, and everybody else does. Isn't that nice? You want to solve this problem? You start by solving the lies with regards to what people eat. Then you solve the problem in the medical industry so that people don't get a $25,000 plus bill because they had to go and have by God, they were feeling kind of crappy. They had a fever and a sore throat. They went out a throat swab, and then all of a sudden they get a bill for $28,000 because the doctor sent the test off for a whole bunch of stuff that had no medical necessity. The lab was probably connected to him, and guess what? The insurance company paid it. And so that person did not get the bill themselves. But did they care? No. Why? Why should they? They didn't get the bill. Now, in this particular case, once it got funneled into the news media, all of a sudden people started looking at it. But how many thousands of those happen every single damn year? It happens every day. We need to stop this, folks. All this BS about impeachment and all this other nonsense, you know what it is? It's a cover story. It's a cover story for the fact that Congress and the president, both sides of the aisle, Democrat Congress, Republican Senate, Republican president, just signed an unfunded spending bill that's going to ramp the deficit even higher in the coming year. And the whole reason they're doing it is because it pumps the stock market, makes everybody feel so great. But your cost of living is going up faster than your portfolio. And the bad news is that when you get done with all of this and your 401k went up by $100,000, hey, that's fantastic. And then you retire, and guess what? Your property tax bill eats that in 4 or 5 years. That entire appreciation is gone, and you got nothing out of it. Folks, we're running out of time to address this. We either take care of this on a peaceful basis and we do it pretty soon, or there's going to be a peaceful left. That's where it is. You decide. Because, frankly, what I see is a bunch of people in the DMV. And all the rest is stuff in your face. So, hey, New Year's is coming. Have a little debauchery. And then get off your ass. I'm your ticker guy. And that's how it is.